right, it is 6:01. I will now call to order the January 27th, 2020 meeting of the Easthampton Conservation Commission. The meeting is being recorded. Are there any public concerns, non-agenda items? Please introduce yourself for the record and come on up.
My name is Kelly Cahill, and I'm just here in regards to my property on Westview Terrace. I have a question about my property's in 61B, a large part of it, and I wanted to cut some trees around my house. And actually, I had a licensed logger, different logger come.
Is this the same parcel? This is a different parcel?
No, this is where I live.
Okay, so it's a unique parcel.
Different.
Okay.
Yes, it's, yep, totally residential. And my question is that he's putting to do like a selective harvest, to put a plan together, a cutting plan, and Sean Libby has been out to look at it. So I just want to do everything.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. So I'm thinking, and we can look into this a little further, and Cassie can get back to you on an answer, but I'm thinking if there's a state forester approved forestry cutting plan, then that would fall under the agricultural exemption for forestry activities, but I don't have that part memorized.
Right.
So we would just want to make sure that that is either in keeping with it or that we understand what jurisdiction might be.
Okay. Yep.
So if you have that as a summary that you could, like, a draft of the plan?
I don't have that yet because I met with him Saturday after I had emailed you, and I talked to him and I showed him some of the trees we walked around, and I'm not clear cutting anything. It's truly selective. So I just want to make sure.
Well, I would start with, whether it meets the exemption.
Okay.
Let's start there.
Agricultural exemption, you said?
Yeah, the agricultural exemption includes forestry. So when a landowner has a forestry cutting plan approved by the state forester, it's exempt from the Wetlands Protection Act.
Okay.
And that's up in the definitions of agriculture. The agricultural and forestry exemptions are under the definitions section of the regulations.
Okay. and when we do that, do we need to partner with the cut forest? So we just receive it?
So we're supposed to get a copy of it. But I think there's nothing wrong with us making sure we have an understanding of it up front, so that it meets the exemption or not. And if it doesn't, then we'll figure out what it would require.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you can just send me once you get. I mean, I guess you can send it to me yourself.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I'll make sure.
Okay.
I'll see. I'm not quite sure the process with that, but I'll make sure you can
Okay. Thank
get
you.
it as soon as
I
possible.
think they've been sent certified mail in the past, but hand delivery is totally acceptable.
I'm not quite sure
That's
how,
fine.
but okay.
Thank you.
Great.
Appreciate
Thank
you
you.
coming in back.
Thank you for your time.
Oh, of course. All right.
Thank you.
Seeing that there's no one else besides Mark and Cassie in the room. All right. Moving on to public hearings and meetings. Public hearing continued from December 9th, 2019. Bundled notice of intent filed by the City of Easthampton, Mass. DEP file number 151307. Applicant is seeking an order of conditions for various routine, non-exempt maintenance activities. What's going on? They're requesting a continuation?
Yes, they are. Sorry.
All right, is there a motion to continue this to the Commission's February 10th, 2020?
Motion to continue February 10th, 6 p.m.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so moved. Thank you. I'm sorry, I thought I heard that. Oh, thank you. So do you have, here's the motion and Jess is the second?
Yep.
Okay. Some of our minutes reflect, or the most recent minutes have an error that we need to have corrected. Okay.
Whoops.
Yep. Not a big deal.
I never make mistakes, except for when I do the really good ones.
You're gonna have to raise the bar. All right, next item on our agenda, request for certificate of compliance, Mass DEP file number 151296, filed by Heritage Surveys, Inc. for an order of conditions related to completed work on Holistic Industries marijuana retail facility at 155 Northampton Street, map 128, lot 101, filed January 13th, 2020. Good evening.
Evening.
Be so kind as to introduce yourself for the
Yes.
record. even though-
Yes, Mark Reed from Heritage Surveys. Just to give the commission a little update, I emailed a report after Saturday's rainstorm was just over an inch. According to Barnes, we had 1.01 inches of rain.
That's precise.
Yeah, there it is.
Is this? Oh, okay.
Right.
Not this one.
So I did that.
There's a, yeah,
Oh,
that's,
it's this.
That's
No,
Holistic?
no, this is the most recent, yes.
So, on the 16th, we had a site visit, walked the site, looked at the area. There were two things that they were in the process of completing, and that was to put the fence around the dumpster enclosure and what is known as a delivery enclosure area, which is about half in the buffer zone and
Is that
half outside.
In this?
Yes, so that's
dumpster?
been done now,
Okay.
completed. The only thing that should go up tomorrow will be the gates for the two enclosures.
Okay.
They're not up yet, but
But they're essentially in buffer zone and paved area?
right, correct. And that's the only work left to be done. They tried to get them in today, but they had to manufacture them.
And this is you said the as-built plan is dated January 13th?
Correct.
So that's what this is.
Yep.
Thank you.
And we noted those two items in the letter to the commission.
Okay.
Just a copy, I didn't have a copy of
And were there any, aside from the things outside the commission's jurisdiction, like the building,
it. Yep.
were there any unforeseen circumstances once, the
No.
dust settled in the?
Nope.
Okay.
No, actually, the stormwater, or the rain garden is working great. Dan Murphy's looked at it.
Okay.
He's said it looks great to him. There was one addition which is outside the buffer zone for additional parking on the George Dion property. In a gravel pathway. It's to connect to there. It's a temporary parking area. So that's, but, excuse me, Geeks Construction did a very nice job. Their foreman on the site did a great job of building the rain garden and doing the work and stabilizing it.
has there been a growing season for the rain garden?
Not yet. So that's gonna,
Technically,
right, it's gonna be an ongoing condition.
it's not a wetland replacement area.
Right.
I do have a question about one of the aspects of the drawing, and that's the Daphne knotweed removal area.
Yes.
So I think there was an initial report that talked about treating it with herbicides, and the commission responded that that was not what we had in our minutes from our discussion, like, that's not the treatment method for Japanese knotweed. You have to also get the roots out, so.
Right, so
Was
that
there
they were.
follow-up to that?
There was removal of the roots without too much disruption to the embankment, going to the abutters property as best they could. And, again, that's going to be an ongoing
That's an ongoing condition.
condition to deal with that.
Okay.
I did notice there is a small area over here that needs to get addressed over in this corner. But that, again, that's part of the maintenance or the ongoing condition, so.
Okay, excellent. So, who was at the site visit? Okay, so Cassie, Jay, and Deborah. And was there anything?
No, I took a couple photos. I think Cassie, you took some photos also, but everything looked fine, stable.
Okay. Any further discussion? Michael, you're looking at stuff? No? Just looking? Okay. So So we do have ongoing conditions in addition to the stormwater management. So that we'll have to remember to write them up in the, that we grant the certificate. And specifically, that would be special condition 17BI1 about Japanese knotweed invasives for 3 years. Japanese knotweed to be removed shall require 3 years of management subject to the efficacy of the treatment, with annual reporting and documentation of dates and details of treatment. So, and that's all per GCA's invasive species management plan,
Correct.
which is referenced, oh, it was undated, okay, that's why.
The plan was undated?
Yes.
Oh.
It's all right, it's listed, I think we're all in agreement that that was what was the plan.
Right.
All right, so without further ado, would anyone care to make a motion regarding,
I'll make a motion to issue the CFC for Mass DP file 151296 with the special conditions as discussed.
second, all those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. So, there's been recent feedback from DEP about the delivery of documents to them. So, because we have to flesh out, or just make sure Cassie's gone through and cited
Sure.
the appropriate ones, we will have this ready for you, I assume.
That's fine. whenever
No
you
rush,
get it.
yeah,
There's no rush. The other thing is that the stormwater permit required a bond.
So receipt of the certificate of compliance, and is that sufficient to release the stormwater bond?
Right.
Or does that require a sign off from the city engineer?
I don't
You
remember.
drafted the thing.
Right. I don't think so because it's under your, because it was under your review. But
But we could do a motion to release the bond, provided there are no other stipulations requiring it with any other departments.
So the bond shall not be fully released without a final inspection of the completed work by the city engineer and conservation commission, submission of final as-built plans and list of any deviations, and certification of completion by the authorized permitting agency of the stormwater management facilities being in compliance with the approved plan and provisions of the stormwater ordinance. So I guess the only question I have is, has the city engineer actually signed
Yes.
off on it?
well, he's inspected it.
Okay.
I don't know if he's,
So I'm just saying
Provided the
follow up with the
written
city
document.
engineer.
Yeah, I'll reach out to him and see if maybe he could just write a little thing.
Yeah, right.
Okay, or does that sound
Yeah.
acceptable? Okay.
yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
Can I take this?
Yeah. You operate this pen.
It's complicated.
And then, so once they get it from the city engineer that it's good to go, what are the next steps? Or should I just ask Jeff and partner with Jeff on the next steps of doing this bond?
Releasing the bond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say either Jeff or the city engineer.
Okay,
Right.
all right, yeah,
So-
here we go.
I believe the bond is held by the city clerk.
Gotcha.
Probably.
Right.
Yes, that should be held in its own special
Right.
place.
Place, so I think that's where it resides.
So, and then who should get the original certificate of compliance? when it's sent
We
up?
can take that
Okay.
and then we can get it recorded for them,
Okay.
or their attorney, Alan Seawall. I can get it to Alan to record it.
All right.
So you want me to send it to 241 College Highway?
Yes,
To send your
the
signature?
P.O. Box 1,
Gotcha, yep.
yeah, if it's regular mail, which is fine.
Well, it's certified though, right?
Has to be
Has to
certified.
be certified
Qualified,
now.
I think.
Or,
They're working that direction.
okay. You can't deliver it, or I can't pick it up?
Well,
Delivery?
hand
It's-
delivery is okay. It's just that it needs to be,
The same date it's posted to DEP.
yeah.
Or
Which
if
is-
you're not worried about the date of issuance, so you can just send it to DEP and let Mark know when the original's
And I
available.
can stop by and pick it up.
Yeah, so if we
Because
can
no
we
one's
do
gonna
it
appeal this.
today? So can I just copy it, or do I need to add those
No,
conditions? Okay.
because it needs the date it's posted to DEP.
Okay. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so just let me know when I can stop by.
Thank you.
Pick it up.
All right, that sounds good.
That's it.
No wasting time and money to certified mail.
I think that's probably the strongest feedback they'll get on that one.
Right. But, yeah.
Okay. All right, well,
All right, thank you.
We
Yep.
have a copy of the as-built, so
Yes.
we don't need another one, unless Cassie really wants it.
No, thank you. There you go. I have a digital copy too, so read it.
Okay. While I'm here, I also emailed you a report for the Logan property on O'Neill Street.
Have that here.
Okay, so we
So-
can jump ahead to the compliance update for item 7E.
Right.
Yeah, thank you.
So with this weather, they started to do a little bit of work out there. Put wash stone all the way from O'Neill Street back to where the building is going.
Okay.
Fixed some silt fence that was down over the winter, repaired that, restaked it and tied them back up. They completed 2 catch basins, bringing them up to grade and with the catch basin rims. They're on the first section of the roadway, they're shown on the
Do you
pictures.
have silt sacks or something in there?
Right now, they're above the
Okay.
the
Yeah, I see
grade.
that.
And it's all washed stone, heavily washed stone. So we can put filter fabric across there if you like, but looking at it,
Yeah, it
there's
doesn't look like anything can get in there.
there's nothing gonna get in there because it's all washed stone. Oh,
More than a couple inches above.
oh, yeah, right.
Pass that down.
And it's all washed stone
Yeah.
above, below that, so, the material, so if you like to, we can do that, but I don't believe, nothing's gonna get in there. It doesn't physically connect to the, retention basin anyways. That end of it's not done, the storm
Okay.
scepter hasn't been installed, or that end of it, so. The catch basins would just fill up with water and just sit,
Okay. I guess at this time it's not necessary.
Yeah, and then they moved couple different stockpile and some of the block that was on the right-hand side.
Yes.
Moved it around, so.
Right, O'Neill Street.
Okay. Cassie, have you seen this site yet?
No,
Coming up to this
not
one?
there.
It's, do you know where it is?
It's like up on New Street,
Yes.
Yeah, the uphill end, near Route 10.
and it's like a storage area for like gravel and such. right?
Well, it's gonna be.
Right now it is.
Now it is, right now.
Technically, at the moment.
Yeah, at the moment, yes. Yes,
Gotcha.
but it will be Logan Construction, is a construction company that's going in there. So his goal is to hit it hard in the spring, get it done, and request a certificate in the fall.
But that's one that has a wetland replacement area.
Yes, so we also, we did one report already. And then we're gonna follow up in the spring with another report, and then in the fall with a 3rd report
Okay.
for you, so.
All right. Excellent. Any further discussion?
I don't know if you're willing to stick around that, but also, you sent me a bunch of documents on autumn properties.
Yes.
I don't know if you want to tell them, if you want to switch to that as well.
Sure, yeah, right, yeah.
Okay.
If there's any other questions?
Yeah, if there's
So that's up to
Enforcement order?
5E?
Right.
Okay.
So Cassie had asked me to forward her some of the documentation on autumn properties. So I did that, because she
Thank
couldn't
you.
find the
I'll
file.
have it if anyone wants to see.
Thank you.
The new file.
Yeah, I got a new file.
Okay.
So, again, waiting for spring and growing season to do another inspection. So it should be coming within the next 4 months or so.
Week or so.
Yeah, at this rate, yeah, right.
Who knows?
You're right.
So will this include a summary of treatments?
Yes.
The update? Okay.
Yes. And GZA is involved with this one too.
Okay, excellent, thank you. And that's been 3 years, almost 3 years?
Yes.
That flies.
Yeah, time flies, yeah, right. And I think that's the only
You sure?
other one. Well, we talked, last meeting was Williston, the track cross-country, which is we're in the process, but I don't think I have any others on your list
Okay,
for that, so. All
You
right.
get to go before we do.
Yeah, right.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Yep.
Excuse me. Okay. So, are we ready to? We just, so here's the file, and then there's the ribbons.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Good night.
Thank you. Oh. I'm good, thanks. No, all right, are we ready?
I even brought
Oh, there's
garbage.
Thank you, Michael. We'll move it over here so Jess can use it too.
No.
She took more than you when you're done. Okay, are we ready to resume normal agenda order?
Go.
All right, enforcement actions. A.
Ready.
Okay. CFN Properties LLC, complete automotive repair, 10 O'Neill Street, map 114, lot 31.
Still waiting to hear back from his operations that he's doing with DSET. So I
Okay.
haven't heard from him yet.
Okay. Next item, 5B, Cernak, Westview Terrace, map 165, lot 47. Assume no updates, time of year. Next item, Kaufman, 298 Loudville Road, map 120, lot 11.
Technically, we're waiting until February is when they're going to present to the commission.
Fantastic. So the deadline for the February 10th meeting is,
Yeah, before that. I'm not sure. I have to check. But then there's also the other meeting in
January
February.
27th.
that's today.
Okay, but then he can go to the next one if he wants to.
That is true.
So,
Yeah.
right, it's each preceding meeting is the deadline. That's
Yeah.
how that works.
Usually works, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a 3-week gap. Okay. Next, 5D, St. Bridget's Cemetery.
No names.
No. We already discussed the item regarding autumn properties. Bernard Gall, 37 South Street.
No updates.
Okay. Open space updates. Echodale West area, Orchard area improvements.
So last meeting we had talked about reaching out to them to see if anyone had, because they had said maybe in the spring we'll get back at it, but in the interim, see if anyone has any suggested changes to the plan that they had submitted so long ago. I haven't gotten any changes submitted yet, and I reached out to them today and kind of just CC'd all the relevant people at Land Stewardship Inc. And it turns out my main point of contact, Andrew Morrison, has left Land Stewardship Inc. So I'm gonna have to like partner with them a little harder and figure out who's the new person.
He was
I
hard to
would-
get a hold of anyway, so it was hard to.
Well, and they
Yeah, with-
go offline in the winter
Oh,
because their workload is so growing season intensive.
that makes sense.
I would reach out to Chris Politan.
Yeah, okay.
You might see him at MACC.
Oh, really? Okay, great. Yeah, I think Chris had forwarded me to Andrew before. So, but now there's a couple contacts in his like going away email that I can
Oh, that's
talk
good.
to.
At least
so.
you have that.
Yeah.
Okay. Lathrop?
I asked Jeff about it today, and he said he didn't have any updates yet. He wasn't sure when that was going to come.
Okay, that's fine. Are you ready for compliance updates?
Yes.
Pleasant Street Mills, 151273.
No updates.
Lathrop, Bassett Brook Drive, invasive plant management.
No updates.
Williston, we all know that that is waiting for another full growing season. And as-bills of all the bridges.
Yes.
Okay. City of Easthampton, Nashwanik Pond, veg management.
No updates.
We talked about Liven. City of Easthampton, White Brook, Broad Brook, maintenance dredging.
No updates.
We talked about Holistic Industries and granted a certificate of compliance. The next two items, 1 Industrial Lofts LLC, 1 Ferry Street, tracks 1 and 2.
Right. So, I do have an update. I contacted Mike and John about credentials for completing the SWIP reports.
Okay.
He was able to send me a list of them. I can read it now if you'd like to hear. It wasn't a full, it was just kind of a quick list of all the things that would make him good for it.
Okay.
First, it said lifelong builder-developer, 36 years with multiple degrees in construction technologies from Framingham State, Boston Architectural, and Wentworth Institute Tech. Commissioner of Massachusetts Construction Supervisors, LIC. I'm assuming COM means commissioner, right? I don't know, it's just COM of.
What was that one?
Massachusetts Construction Supervisors, LIC.
He's got a license.
License.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
licensed
Commonwealth
by the,
Massachusetts.
yeah, There we go.
Got it. Okay.
It's
Yep.
all right, you're new here.
Okay, yeah. So Commonwealth of Massachusetts hoisting engineers license, wire ropes, cranes, telescoping booms and excavators, track machines and loaders, aero boom lift certification, OSHA 10, Commonwealth of Mass home improvement contractors license, Massachusetts Board of Real Estate license, Mass DOT medical or med cert, I'm assuming medical certification, and then LEED AP, LEED AP. His qualifications.
So I would say Mr. Michel has provided a very extensive list. For SWIP reports, what has he been providing?
The form that they SWIP actually gives you.
The actual SWIP inspection form?
Yes,
Okay.
and I have a number in addition to these.
Okay.
The last meeting he gave, I had a ton to give you guys. The last meeting, and these are
That's
just the
fine.
latest ones.
Okay. There's not really anything here of concern, so.
He's filling them out correctly.
Yeah, there might be a misspelling. Waffles is spelled with T, not D's. But
There's plenty of people who do that.
I know. But
Also, I remember
I understand the
last meeting,
intent.
you guys had said that you wanted me to schedule a site visit, which I don't know if it was more for my benefit or if you, or for you all. I sent an email inviting you all to go.
Yep.
But it's going to be Thursday, January 30th at 9 a.m. I'm not exactly sure where the meeting, where we're going to meet exactly yet.
They meet across the street.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that that's not a good time for you guys.
But that's okay, it's a good
Okay.
time for you.
Okay, yeah.
I probably would dentist appointment then.
If I go, can you bring me one of those reflective vests?
I can. I do have them. If anyone wants a reflective vest for any site visit, I'm all about PPE.
Hard hats? Do you have hard hats for
I
this one?
have a hard hat,
Yeah, hard hats.
in my Greenfield office that I can bring here.
Okay.
If we, I don't know if it's allowed. But
Mike- Michael
Mike
might
has
need a-
hard hats too.
I might need one.
there might be more. I can ask Jamie. Jamie might know.
Jamie might.
The city engineer.
It's this sort of thing you can like safely share.
Okay, cool.
I think I can attend.
Yeah, I should be there for Thursday.
That's great.
That's
Thanks.
what I see. Okay. So I'd say unless and until something causes further concern, status quo is fine.
Okay, cool.
I would say having lead AP, certification is probably a sign that he's had some exposure to stormwater stuff.
Okay. That's fair. That's a good point. All right, are we moving on? You ready? J?
Yep.
Easthampton, oh, sorry, I meant item J.
Oh. I thought I was taking too long reading.
I heard the same thing.
I'm sorry, I realized what
Sounded
happened.
like you were checking in with Jen.
Jay, you okay? You ready for us to go?
Go.
That's what you get for having
Easthampton
one
Park
letter
Solar 232 Park Street, 151293, large scale solar.
Lots of updates.
Whoa.
So they've reached out. They're ready to get started, and I told them we have to have the pre-construction meeting. So I've been in communication with them about all the required documents, and I haven't received all of them yet, but I've received a few of them. If you want to see them, I don't know if you just want to wait until then.
I'd like to know what they've provided.
Yep, they've been able to give us the final plans, and they gave me their US EPA NPEDS DES SWIP report, or the SWIP, the plan.
Document?
Yes, the actual document, and then also the detail for the straw wattle typical, which was a special one that was required on their order of conditions, and a note about that. So, and then they also had a number of questions, but I'll talk about this first. In their original plans, it called for, in the erosion controls and the straw wattles, it called for 36-inch long stakes. But this typical talks about having 24-inch long stakes, and they asked me if that is okay for that discrepancy.
What is the diameter of the wattle they're proposing?
Diameter is 12 inches.
And is there any further specification
Oh my god, that was so loud, sorry.
in the, as long as it didn't hurt, in the special condition?
I think that the special condition only called for just having it, have all the information about the straw wattle. Like, it just specified what part details needed to be included. It didn't say what the wattles needed to be like, I don't think.
So this is the manufacturer's recommendation, so I don't have a problem with that. Does anyone else want to see this?
They were concerned that if they did the 36 inch, it might be like a impalement hazard. Because they're so tall.
What?
Yeah, because if they do 24, it'll be flush with the top of the wattle. If they do 36, it'll be sticking out, and they were concerned.
Anyone?
Okay.
What is the date of the final plans they provided? Excuse me. And are they stamped?
They were stamped. Let's see if this is one of them. I'll have to go check actually, because I'm not sure. I think I pulled this one from our old files, so I don't know if this is the newest one. I have the digital copy on my computer. You can go check it now if you want to wait, or I can.
No. It's just a piece of information we'll want to
Yeah.
make sure we have it documented.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and they had a number of questions. If you have any other questions about that.
Try?
Wait, so is that date on found drawings? No. No date?
No date?
No, I think that there is a date. I just don't have it for you right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. So one of the major questions they had is that they were wondering if, before the pre-construction meeting, if they could have put a 40-foot by 10-foot trailer with a generator in the staging area that's on the plans. There is a staging area like pretty soon afterward. I think it's the first area that you come across.
Can you show us?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
sure. No, it's
I'm
okay.
trying to
Is this
picture.
the thing at the corner of where White Brook is?
It's to the north of Holly Circle.
Oh,
So
it's south of White
232
Brook.
Park Street.
Michael's. Practically.
Oh, I can't ask questions, right?
Chairman of the butter. Do I have a butter? Real butter, or
Yeah, I was done.
neighbors have butter?
They said, in a butter to a butter.
I thought we were talking about River
Well,
Valley.
everybody's in a butter.
Within 300 feet.
That's not a Wetlands Protection Act abutter. 100 feet is Wetlands Protection Act. So if any portion of your property line is within 100 feet of the subject parcel property line, then you're a Wetlands Protection Act abutter. But if it's more than 100 feet and you weren't notified of the notice of intent being filed, then you are not a Wetlands Protection Act abutter.
That wasn't on site. And the lawyer from Boston said,
Better to err on the side of caution.
said 150.
Okay, well, the attorney from Boston may have been speaking of something else. But I don't know what that conversation was. So where is
Your
this?
house then?
So, it's okay. This is kind of, it's including all these properties, where they wanted to put the trailer was within, it's not marked in this plan, but on the other plan that they sent me, this is the staging area.
Okay.
Is it outside the buffer zone or riverfront area?
Mhm. It's like right, so here you can see the buffer zone.
Oh,
This
riverfront
is where
area.
vegetation is, yeah.
This is riverfront area.
And then
Okay.
this is the buffer zone.
So if it's outside the buffer zone, that's not our jurisdiction.
Okay, all right, cool. And then, I don't know if it matters, it's gonna have a generator on it.
Just so much more, you are,
You seem like a butter.
no, because this is the city's
Yep,
property.
that's the city.
See, that's why he's in a butter to the abutters.
But, yeah, because it's, what's our scale here?
I wonder if it's,
They said within 300 feet.
That's a
Something
planning,
else.
that's a planning and zoning
Okay.
abutter.
Looks like over.
Yeah.
I'd say ask your questions.
I think my only concern was this whole property, the city, is all wetlands, and it crosses over. So they stopped mapping it here.
They only had to map their property, they didn't have to go on the cities, so. But I've seen it behind your house, and I agree with you.
But it crosses over, so they didn't do any mapping anywhere down here. So what's the wetlands? They can ask for, as long as they replicate the wetland areas, they can.
Well, are they in, they're not in the wetland though.
well,
They're in the buffer zone.
they're coming up to here. You have to look at the new plans, like they're
So,
They request an exemption for the buffer and want to go up to the property line.
okay, that's not a wetlands buffer though, and the wetlands order of conditions hasn't been modified, so they can't cut within 100 feet of the wetland without requesting an amendment to their order of conditions. So I think that's when you've got to maybe perhaps keep an eye on with all these different jurisdictions overlapping,
Okay.
that it's perfectly clear where there's adherence to the order.
You think there's another drawing newer than this?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is.
This is the old one.
Okay.
You only have electronic of the,
That's correct.
so you should request a full-sized set.
Okay.
See, they were
Just
gonna cut trees up to
Yeah, I
the
did.
property
I
line,
did.
all the way across.
Oh, no, I didn't do it. Yeah, but I will.
Because they requested,
Yeah, I didn't think I saw
and now
that.
they're gonna keep a little like 10, 20 feet section of trees here and
So
right here.
the thing is, this area as mapped being in the buffer zone
Mhm.
and wetland, they can't go and cut whatever they haven't already got permission to do. And they didn't have any permission to cut in wetlands because that's not what they presented to us.
And they shouldn't have done anything yet. They've not
Right.
done
Haven't done
anything
anything
yet. No.
No, not really. Put some flags and.
Yeah, they were
signs up.
supposed to do that. They've been installing the erosion controls and they've been the flagging up. All the stuff that's in the pre-construction conditions. So they have been doing that. All right, so that answers this question. And then just a note about this trailer. They were talking about, they saw that there could be unannounced site visits in the conditions. And they just had a concern, we don't have to call ahead, like we can still serve
They have to
function as being.
stop it at the trailer.
Just for safety
Yeah,
briefing.
that's
it's
normal.
Not safe. Okay.
But it's not unusual.
Okay, cool. That was just a thing that they
No,
wanted me to tell you. just in
and you
case.
don't want to be just wandering in, but you know, because who knows what equipment is going to be
Right.
going on.
All right, I have more
Okay.
questions. So.
I'm sorry, we need that again.
No, yeah, we might, but we'll see what happens. The next one was for the crossing. What they wanted to do, when I was talking to Jeff about the plans, he was concerned that when are they going to put the new culvert in? Because they're going to have to be driving across that crossing a lot, especially during the tree removal process. And so I told them that they just need to make it pretty explicit and explain very clearly how they're going to do that in the sequencing plan. And he notified me that for the culverts, their tree clearing subcontractor will be laying down crane mats before any large vehicles or equipment crosses over each culvert. And then, is there just any other things that you want to make sure you hear about in the sequencing plan about, when they're going to take the old one out, the new one in?
Well, they have water control to detail, so that would be part of it.
Okay. And is that tied to condition 28, where they have to give us 48 hours notice before they do any work around there, or the use of coffer dams?
Yes.
Okay. And they just wanted to know. They were just wondering if they had a little clarification on why that was necessary and just what.
Because they're actually working in a resource area.
Okay.
They're working in land underwater, and that's far more sensitive and environmental receptive than it is to be in the buffer zone.
Gotcha.
So if there's a problem, it will have a greater impact environmentally than, a tree falling in the buffer zone or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Okay. Last question. So for condition 63, it states that no rock salt can be used within the 100-foot buffer zone, like on the road. They're wondering, do they have to put any other additional controls so that vehicles that, if they use it outside of the 100 buffer zone, they have to do anything to make sure that the vehicles won't track it into the buffer zone? Is what's typically done? Or should they just use sand? Are there any recommendations of what they could use instead, or how does that work?
I would say we wouldn't be happy if we saw it in the buffer zone and then asked for it to not be in the buffer zone.
Yeah,
No matter how
so-
it got there.
Okay.
They need to use something else in the buffer zone.
Gotcha.
And it's up to them
That's
to keep
right.
it out of the
Yeah,
buffer zone.
Keep it out however they have to.
Okay. All right.
So if that means they don't, put it within 150 feet so that there's an extra 50 feet of, drag and drop, it's up to them to come up with their solution to that performance standard.
that should satisfy all my questions.
Okay.
They haven't given me a date yet for the site, for the pre-construction meeting. But they're hoping to do it soon. They were planning for this Friday, but it's not gonna happen because there's other things that they don't have together yet. I'm still waiting on their nomination for the project environmental monitor and a number of other things. So it's not this Friday, but could be in the near future. I'll be letting you know when that comes up.
Excellent.
Any indication when tree clearing is gonna start?
I'm assuming after the pre-construction meeting, conditions are satisfied. I won't have any other reason to not allow
Is
conditions.
that up to the monitor to make sure?
It's my understanding that the environmental monitor is basically my main point of contact, and just like we did with 200 Park Street, there's a condition for the qualified environmental specialist to be making erosion control reports, and then the environmental monitor to be making their own reports. They're hoping to combine that into one person who will be considered an environmental specialist, a qualified environmental specialist, so that they can do both those reports in one thing to give to me, which is what we're doing with 200 Park Street School Project. So that's the plan for that, and then they'll have to send separate SWIP reports. And then in terms of tree clearing, I'm assuming there's, a whole myriad of rules around how they're supposed to do that they'll have to follow as they do it. It's a contractor that they're
So if you could, before the pre-construction meeting, in their file, they provided a notice of intent and some supplemental information. So though there are a lot of conditions, essentially the permit approves the project as presented in the final approved documents. And so it'd be good to, there may be a greater level of detail. So whether they're clearing and grubbing. So are they just cutting the trees, or are they cutting the trees and pulling the root systems out? There's a big difference between those two activities in terms of impacts. So I would, recommend that you look through the file for those final documents to kind of have an idea of how they presented the activities would be executed.
Okay. That sounds
Yeah,
good.
because I saw an updated one I don't remember ever seeing before, so just kind of odd.
Do you remember what context? Like what board?
Where
was
was
it a
it?
board?
No, it was in one of your folders. Because I think there was pushback from the neighbors about them clearing trees up to their property line. So then they put in a buffer of trees that they were going to cut down, but everything after that, they're going to clear cut 20 feet and up.
That was like a planning board requirement, right, that they
Yeah.
would not go to the line
And
or
then
something?
20 feet and above, they're going to chop
Top.
that head up top off. And then after that, then they're going to clear everything out. I just don't recall ever seeing that. It was like a red section with what they weren't supposed to cut down.
That might be a planning board drawing that Jeff would have.
Okay.
But no,
Familiar
I think
with
I saw it in one of your folders.
Oh, okay. So we have it.
No, it could be planning board.
Well, I'm just saying, like, in terms of speaking with someone who was here when the project was going through the permitting process, that might help to speak to someone in the planning department.
Gotcha. Can do that.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, moving on to River Valley.
They have a sign.
Is it a DEP file number sign?
No.
All right then.
I was like, what?
I missed that. Okay, so no updates?
Well, they are trying to sort out the stormwater bond,
Okay,
so we're working on that.
all right.
That's all I got.
City of Easthampton pump house demo at Lower Mill Pond.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have one more note about River Valley.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that was my bad. They also, they plan to, you asked about whether they recorded the order of conditions yet or not. The attorney plans to record all permits, including the order of conditions, at the closing of them actually buying the property. So they haven't.
Oh, they haven't bought the property yet. Okay. There's nothing that says they had to do it within a certain amount of time. It just, in order for it to be considered valid, it has to be recorded before they begin
Right.
construction.
Okay.
So-
Makes sense.
It's more, I keep asking because I don't want us to lose track of
Right.
that detail.
And then they had a question about the bond. I don't know if, do you guys answer any questions about the bond?
No, the bond is set by the city engineer
Okay, cool.
based on their interpretation of the stormwater design.
Okay.
I mean, what's the question?
The question, the permits were issued to River Valley Co-op.
Mhm.
We've had the stormwater bond issued to River Valley Co-op as well. However, the LLC that will be purchasing the land will be RVC Properties LLC. Will the city be okay with the bond in the name of River Valley Co-op? Or does it need to be RVC Properties LLC?
I feel like that's a city question, not
Right.
I mean, I don't know that it matters who posts the bond as long as there's a bond.
Okay. I'll ask the city engineer, just to be sure.
Just to be clear, like, we issued the permit to the entity that was listed as the applicant
At the
on the
time.
permit application form.
Right.
So, yeah, that's a good city. I don't know who would answer that question, but maybe the engineer, maybe.
I'll just ask them all.
Yeah.
Do you think we issued the permit to the right entity?
It's not our responsibility. We issued it to the applicant.
Right, it was the
Yeah.
applicant at the time.
So the permit's still valid,
Mm-hmm.
or will be as soon as it gets recorded. Okay, next. Lower Mill Pond demo, pump house demo.
No updates.
City of Easthampton, 151303, roadway improvements and maintenance off of Ferry Street and Pleasant and Lovefield Streets intersection.
No updates.
Did they trigger a slip?
Oh, I don't know.
Shouldn't they have if everybody else?
It's an acre. You have to disturb an acre cumulatively.
I'm not sure.
Okay,
I'll check, see if they have a SWIP.
thanks. It would have been indicated in their permit application on the
Right.
form.
Right.
Beacon Solar LLC, 151304, large scale solar, 50 Florence Road.
No updates.
Easthampton School Committee, 151305, construction of new school building.
Yeah, I've received a number of reporting that we asked them to do. I think might be in my office.
So you should be getting a report on all the sites this week because, as Mark noted, it rained well over a quarter inch
Right.
on the weekend.
Let me just run real quick.
Okay.
It's in the other room.
The SWIP doesn't have to do with grade at all? Like
No.
even if it's less than an acre?
No. Acre. That's why our stormwater ordinance is a lower threshold.
I think there are some Connecticut stormwater requirements that deal with slope.
Connecticut
Or something like
is,
that.
that does their, what's the word? No. No, that wasn't the word. It has to do with, they have their own SWIP-like program. They're not part of
They
EPA
have
NIPD's.
delegated
Thank
authority.
you. Those are the words.
Right.
Thank you.
So I just got a number of updates, erosion control reports, and I haven't received the SWIFT report yet because I asked for clarification today because I was wondering why I didn't get one. But the nominated person to be submitting these reports is Matthew Dunn, and here's his resume. And
Mr. Dunn has an extensive amount of experience.
yeah, he's very communicative. Good guy.
No, stop. That's not pertinent. and agree to disagree. No. Those look like two of the same. So, and you had provided these to me, and I had sent back an example of the slip inspection form that I wanted forwarded to. That's a
Yeah, that one's a little wacky.
It's a little blurry.
We all print about one go. But,
Okay. So,
yeah, the form that you sent me, it wasn't SWIP, it was something else. It was like something grant, what is it called? He emailed me about it, but, because it was a different form than what I had seen other people.
well, it's the most current NIPD's CGP
Right,
SWIP inspection form.
yeah, the NIPD's construction general permit template.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he incorporated that in these reports. So you kind of put them together, like any part that wasn't.
But under his SWIP, he's supposed to fill out the SWIP
Okay.
form.
Yeah, okay. Well, they don't have the NIPD's number yet? They identify, like, could
Why have they started ground disturbance on a site that requires coverage under the CGP without getting their E certification?
Well, I thought they got that when they got the SWIP plan. I wasn't sure.
Well, there's the SWIP, and then you submit an E notice of intent, an ENOI, and you get your number. You're supposed to do that 2 weeks before
Right.
you begin work. So
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know.
Well,
I just kind of assumed since they had the
this
plan
one
that they
does
had.
fall into our purview under the stormwater management standards.
Yeah, but making sure the federal permit details are all
So,
I's crossed and T's dotted is not our job.
so please have him use the form in his next report.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I can do that. And then, but that's not the same thing as this SWIP report. That's like, that is gonna be the same SWIP report, like the ones I got from Mike Bichon.
Yeah.
Okay, anticipating that. But then,
Those are
something like
fine.
this, in
They can-
addition to that, this will be like for the conditions, like the
Yep.
environmental monitor has to
Yeah.
submit. Okay. All right, cool. And then, yeah, hopefully they'll be getting that information to me soon. In his last email, he said that they were going to get this soon. So,
Fantastic.
yeah. And let's see if there's anything else. Yeah, he said he needed to get it from the contractor.
So all the erosion controls are in place.
Yes,
Good.
all the erosion controls are in place. The only thing that's not in place is the permanent monuments. But the permanent
That
monuments,
piece goes with the deck pile.
yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
just,
uh,
just know what my pile's turning into.
Oh, yeah. So the permanent monuments haven't been installed yet, but the reasoning for that was that they didn't include that in their budgeting or whatever, so they needed more money and then they put those in, but they're in communication with me in that process.
I think we asked them to stake out the location so we could review that they were being put in the correct
Exactly.
location, that's
That's a
all.
good suggestion.
Mhm. I think that was the only other thing.
Was that the school?
Yep,
And we had 2 site visits, right?
that's right. Well, one was a pre-construction meeting.
16th was the meeting,
Yeah.
we were outnumbered.
Hardly.
You should have seen me at the
40
pre-construction
to
meeting.
4.
Everything for people then.
But they did, as far as the preparation of the site and the erosion controls, they did everything that we asked them to. There's a
Great.
couple things that weren't on drawings that where the rotary the land drops off pretty fast to a wetland area, and they did silt fence across that area for us. That wasn't on the drawing the way we
Is the
expected it.
rotary in the buffer zone?
No.
No, but there was a, but it would have,
Run into
anything that
toward,
happened would have
yeah.
run into this,
Upland.
this marked wetland, so they were very cooperative and did everything that we asked them
Just
to.
out of curiosity, is the TGP requirement that you have an erosion control barrier within 50 feet? If there's a wetland within 50 feet? Do you know that one?
I don't know.
Okay,
I mean, yeah, I don't know.
just curious. Okay.
My only question was the south side of the entranceway where the wetlands are, they didn't put any fencing up?
Yeah, they didn't, because they're not doing anything on that side of the road, was my understanding. Because when we talked about it at the pre-construction meeting, another thing that they had said was that it's because the school's gonna be done in sequence. They're gonna build the new school to the north first, and then demolish the
Yeah.
school to the south, like at the very end.
So
And
there'd be 2 years before that would have to be,
right, so they didn't put the erosion controls into the south of the property. And so I think maybe they were assuming that was part of that, and I guess that should be fine. I don't think they're doing, I don't know, I can ask them to put it in there.
Because
but-
there's the travel lanes, then there's the kind of the swale-y area between the two,
Mhm.
the access and the egress, and then there's,
White Brook, that comes across the whole property?
yeah.
they said they weren't doing any work on that other side until
Yeah, there's-
2 years out, so.
I don't think we approved, like, the limit of work we approved came up to the east side of White Brook riverfront area. I
Okay.
don't think there was anything,
Oh yeah, there's no work being done to the south of that crossing. It's just that they didn't,
okay.
yeah, no, yeah, you're right. The property line goes like right along there. And so, we just don't have any erosion controls like along the road to prevent stuff from going into that other end of, the south end of
Because there's also the drainage in the middle of both roads, right? That drain into it.
Do they have, is it swales or catch basins, or both?
I just couldn't find the plans. I couldn't.
I know well, so did you see that email I sent you? I told you which one was, because the plans they sent us were like 1,000 pages, but I sent that one that was saying like it's on this, I think it was
Okay, I'll
page like
take a look
68
again.
or 60. Yeah.
Okay. So I think part of their erosion and sedimentation control details had silt sacks
Mhm.
in all the catch basins.
Okay.
So in addition to the, the vertical barriers, like the wattles and the silt fence, the catch basins, because they do discharge to sensitive receptors and don't want them to get all.
Yeah, I'm just confused if they're not gonna do it because they're stating they're not gonna be working on the road at all.
Yeah, they weren't gonna do any work on that, in that area for at least, he said 2 years, I believe.
Okay. Are we ready to move on? Maybe? Okay.
Sorry, so we're talking about the southern,
How's the pistachios?
we're talking about the southern side of the access road
Yeah.
to the school.
So-
I thought that entire, I thought they were gonna like use that entire road piece as construction staging and access.
There was construction access, but not
okay,
staging,
not
as far as
staging.
I understand.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a staging area that's kind of where it cuts up again. I can go grab it to my office.
Is it the athletic fields?
Yeah,
Oh,
near the
okay.
athletic fields.
They make one side a two-way road and keep the other side one way, so.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's going to be changes on the road, but I think that's later.
Okay.
Starting next week.
Yeah, but it's not, they're not digging up anything,
Oh,
they're
like,
just
there's no disturbance. It's just-
redirecting the traffic flow.
And now they're gonna use Button Road for,
Okay, that's not our jurisdiction.
Let's not go
So
there.
let's move on.
It's gonna be insane.
Well, that's not our problem.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question though? I heard a rumor that they were gonna build a footbridge across Nashawanic Pond from like the old boat ramp to Nonotuck Park. Anybody heard about this? Nope. I'm really excited about it. I have no idea if it's true or not. My powers
Cool.
is spreading this.
I don't think that would hold my breath.
Wouldn't that sound great? Thank you.
I try to be a fair category. Okay. City of Easthampton, DP file number 151306, maintenance activities including spreading of gravel millings in potholed areas within the existing road footprint and then the use of a grader to level the road to existing grades on River Street.
Still waiting on that COC.
General business, meeting minutes, January 13th, 2019. Deborah noted 1 or 2 errors.
With the, I forgot what part it was in.
3
Said that I
something?
had seconded something, and I haven't seconded anything. I didn't know if that was.
So Cassie's going to review the recording and
You must have heard something over here.
I probably did.
It's okay. Right area.
I thought I heard you second.
so Cassie will review and update, and those will be ready for our next meeting.
And I just had a question about the minutes for the December 9th meeting. Because there were changes that were remarked that needed to be made, but I can't remember if you voted to just approve with changes.
What
or-
did the January 13th meeting minutes?
That's what I
I think
remember.
that it wasn't clear. I think I remembered to look and I was like, eh,
Usually we
but I may
motion
be
to,
confused.
to approve, but with
As
the
revised.
I remember.
Oh,
You did, okay, so I might have just misinterpreted how.
I don't think I was even at the December 9th meeting.
That's very possible.
I wasn't either, but I was at the next meeting when people voted to approve based on minute
absolute
revisions.
notice.
Of course.
So I should just assume 12-9 is approved, I guess is my question. Yes?
12-9,
With revisions.
With your revisions.
yes.
Are you still interim?
No, we are omitting
that
I
that.
hope not.
Okay, so what are we
We're
doing about
making
the
it official.
13th?
Kicking it down.
We're kicking it down the road because Cassie has to actually
Oh, she's gonna
review
review
the
the tape.
video.
Instant replay.
Yeah, not so instant replay.
Wow.
It's so painful to watch myself.
Oh, boy.
It's really-
Join the club. It's okay.
It's really hard.
I don't know that there are many people who like it. Okay, are we ready? So we're
If you just
tabling
sit
this
here and
item
don't
until
say
our
anything
next
like me,
meeting.
It's not so bad.
So, next item, the commission is in receipt of a notice of intent, Mass DEP file number 1512997, filed by Easthampton Park Solar 1 LLC for solar project at Westview Terrace, map 165, lot 47, filed 4/10/2018, identified as the date of filing by Mass DEP. Next item, the commission is in receipt of a plan to regrade gravel parking area at Easthampton Rod and Gun Club facility on River Street.
Yep. So I have, a gentleman came in, just with a quick question. I just wasn't sure the way that he should go about the permitting. He just needed an RDA because within the 200-foot riverfront area, but the nature of the work
Well, they're also in floodplain.
Ah, I see.
So I think, what,
So this is the area that they want to regrade, and it's just, you know, it's 0.1 inch changes that he wants to fill in to make it flat. And so this is the river, 60 feet, the road, and then here's the regrade.
we need a notice of intent.
Okay.
I mean, that's my opinion. They're in floodplain. They're in riverfront area. This is, as some may recall, several years ago, DEP took enforcement action against the Rod and Gun
Because
Club
of the pavilion or
because
something?
of their pavilion pool shed-like structure. And what shook out was that a previous group of conservation commissioners, in their effort to be kind to the Rod and Gun Club, given their community role, basically signed off on the plan saying no something necessary, that that's not an administrative action. So they got hammered with enforcement.
Okay.
So we're not going to do that. But here it's floodplain, so they have to meet the performance standards for floodplain,
Okay.
or demonstrate how they will.
So I will communicate to him NOI.
Yep.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty much identical to River Street, right?
It
Which
is.
Also an NOI. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay. So the commission is also in receipt of a plan by Easthampton City Arts for Cultural Chaos Artist installation on Nashawanak Pond?
So
On,
does it
floating,
float?
what?
Does it
Yes,
float? or-
I'm here to explain. So,
Is it little pebbles?
Easthampton City Arts, they plan to temporarily install floating recycled styrofoam sculptures on the Nashawanak Pond during the Cultural Chaos event. The sculptures will be changed to small anchors that will keep them in place on the water. They would plan to install them on June 12th until June 13th. And they just wanted to know if they're, what was the process for this? Does it matter? Is it something within our purview or not? They don't expect that the anchors will need to be very large. They're just styrofoam. And they wanted some of them, the ones that are going to be close to any kind of shore would be close to the boardwalk. They weren't going to be close to any of the vegetated edges.
Are these anchors just weights, or are they like helical screws or some sort of like?
It's just weights. She said there wasn't any.
It's a boat anchor.
Yeah, it's gotta be boat anchor.
I don't think so. Boating isn't a jurisdictional activity,
Okay, cool.
so I'm not inclined to. I don't know what I would say the alteration was.
What if tiny bits of styrofoam end up downstream? I think it already has. Christine, I don't know what you're talking about.
It's supposed to be recycled art, so I think they'd be very concerned if there was any
Yeah,
kind of
right.
pollution as a result of it. And I think they're really cognizant of that.
Styrofoam. How about plastic? They gonna have plastic too?
Maybe.
There.
Yeah, right.
It's all already there.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I don't
No
know.
requirements
I don't
under
think that triggers any definition of alteration.
Awesome.
Okay. So receipt of plan to remove trees at 44 Westview Terrace. Ms. Cahill already spoke with us about this, and you're going to follow up with her about the agricultural exemption for forestry.
That's right.
Okay. Anything else? Motion to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye. So moved.
All right, it's motion to adjourn,
That was your motion, right?
August 2nd, August.
At 7.